Over the last couple of weeks since Onslaught has launched, I've been trying basically every flavor of ability in the game. In particular for Strand, I've been doing Beyblades, I've been doing Hatchling builds, I've been doing Banner of War, of course, because it's really stupid. But one ability, or element I haven't tried for Strand, is Suspend. And then chat brought up that I should try to give a Suspend Warlock a try, particularly with Thorn. Now, this enticed me because I legitimately can't remember ever firing a Thorn bullet outside of maybe doing the Catalyst, and even then I don't remember if that was a PvE or a PvP Catalyst. So I thought, you know what the hell, let me try out Thorn and see how it does with this build. So with that being said, today's build is going to be catered around infinite Suspends and infinite damage spreading via Thorn and the exotic of choice on our armor, which is Necrotic Grips. Essentially, you can dub this build as DOT and Suspend the build. So, for people that don't know, real quick, Thorn is an exotic hand cannon that says, rounds pierce targets and deal damage over time, DOT, kills with this weapon, leave behind remnants. Then, as you pick up those remnants, the main thing to keep in mind here is it partially refills your magazine. And then, we're combining Thorn with Necrotic Grips. And for people that don't know what this does, it says, damaging combatants poisons them, dealing increasing damage over time, defeating a poison combatant spreads the condition. So we're quite literally going to be spreading poison, and then while we're doing that, we're going to be suspending targets as they blow up next to each other. And let's combine that with our kit, which is the following. In our Broodweaver subclass, in our abilities, we have Healing Rift, Burst Glide, the melee. In our 4 slot, the grenade slot, we have Shackle Grenade for a suspending extra animation. In aspects, we have the Wanderer, tangles you throw, attach to targets, and detonate into a suspending burst. Then, destroying a tangle creates a suspending burst after a short delay. So we have a double suspend on this. And then the other aspect is Mind Spun Invocation. With this, we can hold and consume our Shackle Grenade and activate Weaver's Trance. Final blows while Weaver's Trance is active creates a suspending detonation. So in simple terms, basically, when we kill stuff, we suspend them and also poison them, and then the poison spreads and the suspend spreads as long as we keep continuing the chain. And while we're doing this, we're collecting remnants that will also refill our mag, and hopefully Thorn will keep up in ammo without having to actually reload it until most of the waves of trash mobs are gone. For fragments, left to right, we have Thread of Fury. Damaging targets with a tangle grants melee energy, and our melee is just basically another easy way of making a tangle, which turns into a suspend. Then we have Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy, so we can either throw a shackle for, like, let's say an unstop, or we can just eat the grenade to restart our chain. Number 3, we have Thread of Wisdom. Defeating suspended targets creates an Aura of Power. This just gets you to your Needle Storm faster, which is a very underrated super in terms of damage, so I thought I'd just throw that in there. And then finally, Thread of Warding, picking up an Orb of Power, grants Woven Mail, because Woven Mail is extremely dumb and is super high in damage resist, and why would you not want to have more damage resist in something like Onslaught, where you're going to be going 15, 20, 25 under. So while we let the background footage speak for itself, I'll just talk about the weapons briefly for a little bit. Obviously, your number 1 weapon is going to be Thorn in the kinetic slot. This is not exactly a option, it's more like mandatory. In your other 2 slots, I've kind of been going back and forth and debating what I want to run in these slots. I think I've kind of settled on having Indebted Kindness in the energy slot, just because of its power overall with like Volt Shot, Lead from Gold, and the ammo economy, and also Indebted Kindness is another source of killing barrier champions, while Thorn can just stun Unstoppables, and then we also have other ways to deal with overloads. Speaking of which, in the 3rd slot, I've kind of nailed down 2 weapons. Number 1 is going to be Apex Predator with Bipod, because 1, we can stun overloads with it, thanks to Rocket Overload in the artifact, and 2, just Bipod rockets with how much ammo you can hold, and the ways you can make ammo at Onslaught seems to be like a really good choice. And I can't run Xenophage because Thorn is our exotic, so I settled for that. The other weapon to choose instead of Apex is just going to be a Strand weapon because, well, this is a Strand-based build, and you might as well spec in the Strand if you can. Either one is fine. Realistically, any weapon you want to run your heavy slot that you feel comfortable with is fine. It's just that Thorn is the main part of the show, other than dealing with, like, yellow bar enemies or bosses. Speaking of the artifact, in case you were curious, here it is. Like I mentioned previously, Overload Rockets, if you would like to run that as your weapon, totally optional. But the 2 mods to keep in mind here are going to be in the upper right corner, which is Unraveling Orbs. Picking up an Aura of Power grants Strand weapons Unraveling Rounds. So this is where it comes in to the point where you want to synergize with Strand weapons. Then this comes in handy because you have Unraveling all the time. And then the other mod is going to be Horde Shuttle. Damaging unraveled targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a Thread Link. So that would just be another form of DOT for you to spawn in with threadlings on top of your thorn and all that going on. Let's go over the mods. As always, we're going to go top to bottom, starting at the helmet. In the helmet, we have 3 mods. The first one being Heavy Ammo Scout. Whenever you just make heavy, you also make heavy for your teammates. Be a good teammate. Number 2 is Kinetic Siphon, because we're going to be using Thorn a lot, so you might as well make some orbs while using Thorn. And in the third slot, Heavy Ammo Finder, to make heavy ammo for yourself. In our gloves for Necrotic Grip, we have 3 mods. The first being Bolstering Detonation, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Momentum Transfer in the second slot, causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. And then Impact Induction in the third slot, causing damage with a powered melee, reduces your grenade cooldown. In the chest, you guessed it, nothing but resist. Solar Resist, Arc Resist, and Void Resist. No reason to keep anything else on. If you want to get extra ammo during boss phases, just have a second chest piece on you with reserves for whatever element your weapon is. In your boots, you can kind of go 2 ways. You can either go the Surge route with Kinetic Surges to pump up your Thorn if you'd like, or go the other route, which is what I ended up picking with these 3 mods. Those being, number 1, Innervation, reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb. Recuperation, replenishes health each time you pick up an orb. And then finally, Absolution, reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb. And lastly, the class item, we have 3 mods. Number 1 is Bomber, reduces your grenade cooldown when using your class ability. Number 2 is Outreach, reduces your melee cooldown when using your class ability. And lastly, Distribution, reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability near targets. So what are my thoughts overall for this build in terms of Legend Onslaught? I think this build holds up pretty well, going all the way up to around maybe wave 30 on Legend, maybe 40. At that point, I think it kind of falls off a little bit just because the quality of adds you start getting are more in the tankier side, orange bars, yellow bars, mini bosses with the mines or tormentors, etc. It falls off a little bit there because, well, the main source of your crowd control is just using your primary and suspending, and most targets you're not gonna, outright kill with a Thorn. At that point, I might just switch to Well, just to be a little bit safer. It's not to say that you can't get to 50 with this build, you absolutely can. I just think your life would be a little bit easier if you swapped off it to Well towards the end. But if you like to just stay on Strand because you're tired of, being Well guy 24/7, that's totally understandable. I will, however, say that outside of the ending of Legend Onslaught, elsewhere in the game, it's pretty damn good overall to use in any other, like, 6-man, 3-man activities, regular dungeons, regular raids, etc. Master raids, boss phases, you're not really going to stay on Strand with a Thorn, but everywhere else, I think you're solid if you want to use this. So that's the build. Let me know what you guys think. I will have a dim link in the description below in case you want to try it out for yourself. And while you're down there, feel free to follow all the socials if you'd like. Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, all the T's, etc. But as for YouTube, if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe today and leave a like and or comment if you can. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. We're on the road to 40K. And if you don't know what to comment, you can leave Thorn as the comment. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.